Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, what's the deal, YouTube? We're back, yes, with another goddamn show. Do me a favor, as you guys are coming in, hit the like button. We're not going to be here too long today. I always say that, right? It should turn to about an hour, but that's not our plans to be here too long today. We're gonna talk about a couple of these juicy PlayStation 5 rumors. Like I said, I always say since I've been doing YouTube, right, or started doing YouTube, whatever the case may be, that I always get slid like documents, people for some rumors. A lot more often than not, a lot of things turn out to be true. That I get slid. I'm not even saying that these rumors today are true. Like I said, we're just going to talk, just for good conversation. We're just going to talk about. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If you're saying what's up to me, give me 1 second. I will see my screen. Shout out to you guys. BGST will be tomorrow. And BGST will be tomorrow. And Tuesday will be Xbox Ps5. So like I said, as you guys are coming in, and be so kind, hit the like button. We're going to talk about these rumors, man. Also, too, if you didn't check out the show yesterday, very, very funny. We had Black Baron up there. We talked about the Inside Xbox show. Funny ass show as always, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I can see all you guys now. Iceman, my man, the realest, the finest. Shout out to you, Drop Chain. My man, One White King Kong, the first Switch owner in America, North America. Shout out to him. You know what I mean? Love that Switch. My man, Who's Next? Shout out to all you guys. Dragon Moore, what's up, baby? Gabriel Ortiz, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Megatron, what's up, baby? Megatron from the hood. Shout out to Megatron, man. But anyway, like I said, I got slid some papers. First of all, as you guys are filling up, I got my bro Mighty Mo. No, what's going on, brother? No, I haven't talked to you on the air in a while. What's going on with you, Noah?
What's up, man? You know I'll be working, bro. Be working, trying to get this money.
At Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, right?
Getting it in, bro. Washing them dishes, you feel me?
Getting that fish grease together. Ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. All right. We've also got my man with the medicine, with the numbers, my man Mighty Moss.
What's up, peoples? What's up?
Yeah.
Still tweaking off that chick I was telling Zaire, man. They still sell St. Ides up here, man. I'm an old dude, so I still be on my St. Ides and chicken wings.
Oh, okay, for sure. A bit being chicken. We got my man Post up with the console. What's up, Post?
What's good, people? Mr. Let's Talk About It. I tell my Xbox brothers, I'm gonna do my best today to not let this podcast turn into another RIP Xbox podcast. Tired of them snakes. So tired of them motherfucking RIP.
Hey, I was listening to the podcast again on my way to get my chicken and beer, man. I almost crashed the goddamn car when I heard that shit.
Hey, yo, that shit was funny, but that shit was wild.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. What's up to everybody?
All right, now, hey, Moss, can you bring the photos up, or should I do it? Or can you do it?
You know what? Let me give me 1 second. I'm copying them right now, trying to put them. You know me, I got to pull out the Microsoft tools.
Okay. All right.
Okay, there we go. I got them on a Word document. Let me share my screen.
All right, let me present to everybody.
All right, how I do that? Share. All
right here, the left hand corner. You see my screen? That green tab.
Oh yeah, I got you. Screen share. There we go. All right. There we go.
All right, let me present to everyone. Hold on, let me lock your screen. Present to everybody. Not me. Here we go. There we go. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me lock this shit down. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, where it says hide, hit that hide button. You see, stop sharing and hide. Hit that hide.
Excuse us, we have a technical difficulty. We appreciate y'all patience. There we go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm gonna go to the tippy top here. All right. Good. All
right, there we go.
All right.
Take it away. What we got here? Read
it looks like here, my peoples, that these are documents and rumors information regarding the release of the PlayStation 5. It appears to already be in the works, and it's being speculated that it's going to be released at the first quarter of 2019, not the financial quarter, but like the fiscal quarter for
so when the hell is that?
Sony, that would be like the holiday season. For a lot of businesses, Fortune 500 companies, their fiscal quarter begins like third or fourth quarter of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to break that third and fourth quarter down because some people don't even understand.
Oh, my bad, man. Yeah, like
this ain't basketball. You can't. They be thinking basketball.
October, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
July,
okay.
October.
They be thinking basketball.
The first month out of every 3. You know what I'm saying? So we're thinking like around in October is where they're speculating according to these documents that this is going to be released. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm gonna read a book. Read the bullet. I'm gonna read the bullet.
All right.
First one here says there are several simple reasons behind this. Sony needs to finalize the hardware, finish and polish the games properly, market them, and build enough consoles that will satisfy the player needs. Also, they don't want to release it too early because it can damage their brand. The PlayStation 4 Pro just released not too long ago. To put it simply, early 2019 seems the best to them for every logical standpoint. If everything goes right, it will be a worldwide release.
Okay. Wow. 2019.
All right. Technical specs. All right. There will be 2 consoles. Variants at launch. A normal version, simply called the PlayStation 5, and a version with the expanded feature set and modified hardware called the PlayStation 5 Pro. Sony doesn't believe in mid-gen refreshes. Bullet 1 states, they think that half-gen consoles can negatively affect the console industry's health. PS4 Pro was a necessary step because 7th generation consoles, including PlayStation 4, turned out to be too weak and obsolete. And secondly, Sony needed to take a step to try to keep players from moving to PC. They don't think about Xbox as a competition. They rather fear from PC. Wow. The point is that in the PlayStation 5's life cycle, there won't be any mid-gen refreshes. There will be a superior version of the console available at launch. So do we want to get my thoughts here?
Yeah. Okay, so these systems supposed to launch simultaneously. And so they, I guess from a price standpoint and from a technical standpoint, they're going to have one that's probably more accessible from a price standpoint, and then one that's from a higher technical standpoint, costs a little bit more, correct?
Yeah. Well, my brother, post up. This is funny that you mentioned that because here goes pricing. The PlayStation 5 will be $450 to $500, while the PlayStation 5 Pro will be $600 to $650. The bullet under the pricing says these prices are estimates by Sony, and while they seem very high to ask for consoles, read further, you understand that these are totally justified. And there's limited information yet about European pricing.
Interesting. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I'm gonna kind of get my. Once you finish with everything,
let us salivate a little bit. All right. Okay. The new PlayStation VR, which is something that's added in the mix here, possibly called PSVR Pro, will be $400. As already pointed out, it will offer high resolution and FOV, while games will run at 120 frames per second. But aside from these, there isn't any worthy information about the hardware itself.
And FOV is field of
vision.
Yeah. Field of view. Yep. Field of vision.
Yep. I mean, it's 60 per eye. It's 120 frames, about 60 per eye. Right now, I mean, we talking about PlayStation 5 rumored. Now, if we talking about the Pro and the standard. Now, one thing I say, if this is true, I can maybe see Sony doing this, is because they are a hardware company. You gotta realize this, man. Sony released the Slim and the Pro weeks apart. Slim, Pro, and VSR all within weeks apart. You know what I mean? And so Sony is riding high or hard, like I said, on hardware. This is what keeps the lights on for them. If they, I mean, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. If they were to do this and release 2 SKUs, I don't have a problem with it. To be honest with you, I don't have a problem. As long as the PS5 Pro, if they were to, this one I would get a Pro. The games look better graphically. You know what I mean? Yeah. That I can tell the difference. You know, I'm not like what they did with the Pro. As long as I can tell the difference graphically and performance-wise between the two, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about 1 or 2 frames here. Then I don't have a problem, like I said, with getting the PS5 Pro. But I think that's dope. Like I said, like $600. Should I just pay $500 for the Scorpio? And at a minimum, I would think probably these consoles will be at least 10 T-flops. You know what I mean? At a minimum, we're talking about 2019, 2020. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Sign me up.
Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, this isn't bad. I think these aren't bad options for the simple fact that I think even with just a minimal a minimal bump in performance. The PlayStation 4 Pro was selling gangbusters like, less than a year after it was released, because there was a talk of from Kojima himself saying the machine can do 1080p, 60 frames per second with room to spare. So, if people just want the regular base model, great, grab it up for what, 450 to 500. But if you want a little bit more, juice under the hood, jump on the Pro. And that's where you had a higher price point. I don't think it's a bad idea.
This remind me of the 360 era when Microsoft had the two SKUs, one with the hard drive, the one without the hard drive that had the 4 gigabyte internal space. Yeah.
So I guess
different spec. There's a difference. And this time it's just going to be a difference in terms of spec. I don't know, but keep going. I'll keep going.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead, Noah.
Let me chime in real quick because I'm against it. So you got a base PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 5 Pro. So this PlayStation 5 is going to be less powerful than the X. It seems like it's going to be a waste of money to spend the R&D on 2 different SKUs, especially this early in the game.
I don't see it with less money. I mean, the X, you gotta realize this. By the time the Pro comes out, we got the X is 17. You know what I mean? We talking about 2 years from now, the minimum. It'd be a bump up from the X. You know what I mean? Look like this. Look at this. No, look at right now what GPUs are costing with this craze. You know what I mean? We all like it's PC gaming right now because everyone is mining. For Bitcoin on those GPUs and CPU are out of the roof. You know what I mean? And this is for people like again, don't want to spend an arm or leg, can get somewhat type of maybe PC type performance. Like I said, if this was to happen, like I said, I don't have an issue with it. But I mean, But of course, it's gonna be more powerful than the X. Like the X came out. We talking about a console that's coming out 2 years later.
But I guess my concern is okay. You got 2 different SKUs. Okay. So what is one going to offer you compared to the other? I mean, because the base model. We're assuming the base model is going to be more powerful than the X. Yeah. Right. And the X is a pretty tough console. You know what I mean? It's 6 teraflops. They can't really go that much powerful between now and 2019. Unless, they're going to spend a hell of a lot of R&D on this console. So I don't know, man. I don't see the 2 SKUs happening.
Yeah, that's kind of what because if you look at what Sony have said in the past in regards to being able to tap into true 4K, their numbers was around 8 teraflops that they needed 8 teraflops. So I'm looking at the PS5 to be anywhere between 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 10, 8 to 9, or maybe 8 to 10 teraflops.
Right.
That's reasonable for me. If it's 8, then it's not too far from you probably 2 teraflops extra than the X.
But that's the 5, right? That's the base model. So what is the Pro going to offer? Is it going to have a dual GPU setup?
Nah, I wouldn't think it'll do dual GPU, and I think they're gonna go with another APU setup. I don't think they're gonna split it off to where like it was back in the other generation where the GPU and the CPU kind of stood alone. I'm kind of iffy about them bringing out 2 models at the same time.
Yeah, that's me too. That's my main concern. Two different SKUs because the PC GPUs are barely advancing. It's like a gradual increase if you look at the GPU power. They're putting more cores and they're pushing the clock speed, but the technology is not really advancing.
Yeah, it's nothing really significant. Especially a lot of the a lot of the GPUs, a lot of them is just modified with additional, like you said, additional core, additional clock speed and things like that. But we'll see. In 2019 is kind of iffy to me, just based on the success of the PS4 right now. Not even the Pro. I don't think Sony expected the Pro to do that good. I think they just put that out there for the tech heads or people who wanted to, play the games at the best possible resolution and frames. But the PS4 right now is doing so well. It's doing amazingly well. It's on track to probably supersede the PS2 numbers. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to kind of hijack that or deflate that momentum by bringing out another system this fast. I can't say around 2020 or somewhere up in there, 2020, 2021, somewhere up in there. But as long as this PS4 got that momentum, I think they're going to capitalize on it and kind of stall out. And plus, it gives them enough time for the chips and things like that to come down to a reasonable price where they can get the performance out of it that they want.
Okay, I'm not a technical guy, but let me just throw this in here. And disclaimer again, I'm not the technical guru here.
Yeah.
But like to Noah's question, all right. So how far are they going to be able to dig into their pockets to get more powerful hardware? So the Xbox One X is how many teraflops right now? It's like
6.16.
6. Okay.
6.1. Yeah, 6.1.
All right. So let's just say if the base PS5 is going to be running at maybe 7, 8, you know what I mean? And this PS5 Pro could be running at a 9, 10. Is that too outlandish? Maybe if they lock those deals down now, because from what I understand, technical parts are going to be extremely inflated price-wise towards the latter part of this year going into 2019. So those are things that you lock down deals for those, the chips and stuff like that earlier, right?
Well, I mean, from a technical standpoint, the games going from an 8 teraflop to a 10 teraflop system, it's not going to be worth it. You know, for us it is as a consumer, but not. You got to think from a business standpoint. They're spending all this R&D money to develop 2 different consoles with just a 1 to 2 teraflop difference.
It won't be that significant. The bump won't be big enough to warrant the price. If we're talking about a $500 to $600 system, and you're going from 8 teraflops to just say 10 teraflops, the increase as far as the graphics and things like that won't be big enough to warrant that price. Number 2. A lot of companies, even including Microsoft, all of them, when they're making their systems or when they're doing research and development, they're taking off-the-shelf parts to build these systems to the spec that they want them to be. During that time, more than likely, they're probably conversing with AMD. Like I go back to what Z mentioned all the time with the $1 billion that Microsoft spent with AMD. Well, maybe that $1 billion not only covered the X chip, but cover future chips as well. We don't know.
You gotta pay the bills.
This is true. The PS5 Pro will be backwards compatible, and the base model wouldn't.
Yeah, we're getting to the backwards compatible because I think it's something in here.
About that,
about backwards compatibility, and that should be something interesting because if more than likely it is, if it maintains the x86 architecture, which pretty much both of them is going to do. I wonder how the Sony fan base will respond to that, given that for the last year or two, backwards compatibility in regards to the Xbox One S or the X has been downplayed or not needed, or we don't play old games. It's all about the new game. So that should be very interesting.
Well, I know just the other day, one of the Sony patents got leaked. We talked about it, got leaked.
Yeah.
About them Gucci Mane off Woman Out the Sun, Gun into 1017 record. I'm sorry. They talked about the other day that Sony, when their patents got leaked about backwards compatibility. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, right? That's when any business. Once one new console comes out, they already starts manufacturing the R&D on their newer console. Now, I understand right now for us, the market, the price is inflated. You know what I mean? But both Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they buy these parts and pieces in bulk. They're paying a fraction of what we would pay the average consumer. You know what I mean? You know what we would pay. You know what I mean? So, at a minimum, like I said, I expect the next generation Xbox and next generation PS5, whatever, to be at a minimum 9 to 10 T-flops. Because if they come out around 8, you best believe that we're going to get another mid-gen refresh. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Going from 6 to 8, and you're going to say that's with a slightly beefier CPU. We're going to say that's the next generation Xbox, or this is the next generation PlayStation. You best believe 2-3 years down the line, we're going to have another mid-gen refresh. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Well, probably, I know that they're not going to do business with NVIDIA. But what's this minimum specs on a GTX 1080? With 10 flops?
The regular 1080?
Yeah, with 10 flops or whatever the hell the case may be. That card came out when?
The 1080 is like 8, I believe. The 1080 Ti XP is like 11.
Yep.
Okay, whatever. And that card came out when? 2016.
And I think the Titan XP is like 12.
But I'm saying that card came out in when? Like 2016, 2017, right?
That came out last year.
Okay,
the XP that came out last year.
Okay, I'm talking about the Ti. The 1080 came out last year. Whatever the goddamn case may be. We talking about again 2 years. Like I said, one thing about the PC market, you know, card is always moving forward as far as the card wise, right? So if that card came out in 2017, right? We talking about these consoles coming out in 2019, 2020. I should hope they would have at least, you know what I mean, can compete with a 3-year-old card, 3 to 4-year-old card.
Yeah, I would guess about maybe 12, 13 teraflops, especially with the the improvement in fabrication.
You guys, don't hit the like button.
Yeah.
How they create the chips, they're making them smaller, so that's less heat, less power. So we should be able to at least double. By that time, we should be able to at least double the teraflop power.
What I would love to see is I would love for them to go back to the 360 and the PS3 eras when the systems came out, they was leading the pack even in the PC space, and it took some time for the PC to catch up. I don't know if we're gonna ever get that type of power again. I don't know if we're gonna ever get that type of power again where for a while, 360 and the PS3 was like the most powerful systems on the market.
Yeah,
including PCs.
I don't see that happen. I think we're always going to.
I'm just hoping.
I think we're always going to be a generation behind when it comes to PC.
At least 2, because
I know people.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping.
Realize this: when what happened last generation was very, very unhealthy. It was very, very affordable for both Microsoft and Sony and them because they were selling a lot of consoles. They were trying to make their money back. Microsoft took the loss with the Red Ring of Death, over $1 billion. Sony lost big on the Blu-ray 3D and the cell processor. You know what I mean? So they wasn't in the rush to jumpstart a new generation. So that 8 and 9 year console that lasted last year, very unhealthy and very, you know what I mean? That's not normally every 4 to 5 years you get new hardware, and that's that. You know what I mean? You best believe this too. Once these new consoles come out, say 2019, 2020, we're still gonna be dealing with cross-gen development like we dealt with at the beginning of this generation. You know what I mean? But you think about some of the biggest games and titles that came out this gen. Tomb Raider, beautiful as that game look. You could have got that on the 360. Forza Horizon 2 360. Titanfall. You understand where I'm going with this? So Destiny, look, huge game. You got that on the PS3 and the 360. You know what I mean? So you best to believe. And also look at this, right? CD Projekt, right? The creators behind The Witcher and all that stuff, right? They already said that their next game, Cyberpunk, is going to have next generation features and and this, So again, that's going to be most likely cross-gen goddamn title. We already got rumors that that the next Grand Theft Auto is going to come out in 2020. You know what I mean? So it's probably going to come out most likely like they did this year, this generation. You got Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in what I believe was in October for the PS3 and the 360 at the end of the console generation. You know what I mean? Sold a boatload, and then they remixed it and released that bitch again on the PS4 and the Xbox One. You know what I mean? So, 2020, 2019, we're going to realize so people understand that this generation started in 2013. You know what I mean? I know some people just not getting their console this year or last year, so the shit still feel new to him. I've been in this motherfucker since 2013. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem, even though I just got my ex, I love my ex to death. I don't have a problem, you know what I mean, get me a new console a year and a half now. I'm cool with that, you know what I mean? I'm fine with that. Like I said, long as the games look better visually, and I ain't talking about no digital foundry side by side compare. As long as I can tell the difference, and I just sit down with my old ass eyes, these 40-year-old man eyes, like, oh god damn, it should look good. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that.
Whenever you're a technical buff or you're into technology or you're into new devices, that new device smell wears off quick. You know what I'm saying? So like when it hovers around the 1 year, 2 year mark, you start itching for something new sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's not too far and beyond to believe that people would still, even though they just made console purchases, that they still would be willing to buy the latest and greatest. That's the name of the game, the latest and greatest.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Shout again, Fonz, brother. What's going on, good brother? Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Majority, you said what's up to me. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm looking at the chat now. He also
shout out to Fonz.
He also said
going in on Baron yesterday.
Baron funny as hell, man. Hey, listen, I'm gonna keep talking about. You guys got to check that show out from yesterday. When I say Baron was stuck in carrots, you know, Baron wrestled for a living, literally. You know what I mean? And my man was stuck in. Baron got that shit down pat. Whose man is this? Baron crazy as hell, bro. You
Eggshell.
You know what I mean? So man, let me ask you guys this. So if this rumor was to be true, right, and we're getting a PS5 and a PS5 Pro in earliest 2019, whatever the case may be, which also I think we'll get a couple industry analysts, Michael Paxton, who guys said Sony will be releasing their next generation console in 2019. If they do this, right, do you expect Microsoft to meet them there with their new hardware, or would you want Microsoft to come out a year later?
I mean, I see two scenarios. Number one, Microsoft scrambles. Because I think I've seen that somewhere. It's a rumor. Well, just like this is a rumor. But I see Microsoft scrambling to meet them, right? I mean, they have the Surface team, some of the best damn engineers in the world, you know. So it is possible, you know, that they could get something out there. With that being said, I could see them waiting a year, but hitting you with a big ass launch lineup. Like that's the only way they could afford to release after the PlayStation 5 in my mind is all those deals that they're talking about, because they're going to take time. If those come to fruition at a launch lineup, you know what I'm saying? I think that would benefit them to wait a year after. But if they don't have a killer launch lineup, you know what I'm saying, as far as exclusives, then I would see them having to scramble to release close to the PlayStation 5.
That would mean that that some titles will have to get pushed. Some titles that was meant for the PS4 will have to get pushed back to the PS5 to meet launch. And if the backwards compatibility thing is true, as well as them using the same architecture, then it'll be easier to port things over from the 4 over to the 5. It'll just have to cause them to get things acclimated with the new engine they're probably have in place, as well as some optimization to get everything up and running. So it's feasible. That's why people are of the mindset, some, not all, that Last of Us 2 and things like Death Stranding might become PS5 titles.
Absolutely.
If we're looking at a 2019 launch.
Yeah, well, I mean, look what Sony did with Beyond Two Souls and a couple other games. Those games released in the final year of the PlayStation 3. Like I said, one thing about Sony, they don't have a problem releasing exclusives towards the tail end, or they might be cross-gen. You know, like Little Big Planet 3. You know what I mean? A couple of the game exclusives that released over there. You know what I mean? I don't expect that to go away. Maybe you can look at it like this, and maybe going forward, then maybe the X will become the base model, standard model, and then whatever Microsoft releases after that will be the, you know what I mean? You know, because Microsoft said that we're not dealing with generations anymore. No longer with your games get old and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, I can see either scenario. I just think personally with the drubbing, I mean, even though they're doing well financially, but let's keep it real. The drubbing and the one-on-one head off that Microsoft is getting, as far as units sold and hardware sold, I think that they're very cognizant of that now, and I can't see them waiting too long after a Sony release unless they look, we got this killer lineup and we can wait a year. You know what I mean?
I think they need to beat Sony to the punch.
You talking about Microsoft?
Yeah.
We're talking. The thing is about Microsoft is that this drought they've been in, some would say for the last 3 or 4 years, can turn out to be a plus this E3, because though we've been crying about the software and stuff that we've been getting, they've had time to do a lot of things behind the scenes, as far as creating games and things like that. So hopefully, throughout this drought that we've been dealing with in terms of software, that we can see some type of work come to fruition during this E3. They should have a lot to show because we've been. They should have a lot to show. I'm expecting a big E3. And if you're an Xbox fan, you should be expecting a big E3, given the time and the drought that we've been going through with the lack of AAA software that we've been getting.
Microsoft need to come with it. But my point was, you know, as far as the release of the next Xbox and the next PlayStation 5, what does Microsoft have to gain by waiting? Because I mean, what if the PlayStation 5 is pushing 4K 60, doing everything the X can do? I mean, what extra feature?
No. You just charge. I don't. Microsoft they can chill. You know, they don't have to rush. Right now, the only thing the Xbox X is being used for is optimizing X1 games or taking advantage of 360 games.
Yeah,
that's all. That's it. But developers are not even tackling it from the standpoint of utilizing everything that system is capable of doing.
We're talking about the next gen systems, the Xbox 2, the PlayStation 5. So how does it benefit Microsoft to wait a year when they're both going to ideally be offering, you know, 4K 60, VRR, you know, variable frame rates? Like what more can they offer by waiting a year?
When do you think Microsoft is going to launch? Because I think they got some time. I don't think they need to respond to
you
the
got
PS5.
that new console still in you for proposal. It's 20 goddamn. 20.
I'm just saying, we just spent $500 on the system, and
I'm saying though,
we ain't got nothing out of it but enhanced games.
I get what you're saying.
We haven't even got our bang for our buck out of this system. It haven't even been utilized.
Thing Microsoft needs is Sony.
Yes, now,
PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And they dropping all of these beautiful looking games, and you know they just hit Microsoft back to back with these 4K 120 frames per second game, and Xbox fans, we have to wait a whole nother year to see.
Well, the 120 second frames. I don't see that come. TVs later this year and probably going into 2019 more TVs will be there to be able to recognize the native 120 hertz signal. I mean, we have TVs now that have like 120 hertz and 240 hertz, but that don't mean they're able to recognize the signal natively. And so all of that is just
I got your post, but
promotion.
The point is though, if you're Microsoft, how does that benefit you to wait a year after Sony releases the PlayStation 5?
Because from my standpoint, technical wise, I don't think the disparity between the X and the 5 is going to be that huge. Now, I might take an L on this.
Post.
I might take an L on this.
Post. Wait. Hey,
hold on.
My brother.
I'm saying this now.
Look, I remind you that this is a drug-free environment.
Look, your integrity. And the reason why I say that, CPU-wise, yes. Memory-wise, I think they probably have the same 12 the same amount that the X have. I don't think they're gonna go anything above 12. I don't think they're gonna do 16 unless we're getting to maybe a $600 or $700 system. The GPU might be more a bit more beefier, but like I said, 2 teraflops more than the X. I don't think that's a huge disparity. We got to understand that X is a custom system. It hasn't even been touched yet.
Can I let me? I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cut you off. Post stuff, but no your boy Omagazio, he is addressing something in the chat because he's going crazy. He about to jump out of his skin. He says when games take too effing long to make, these X-legs really think that Sony going to release a PS5 in 2019 when it doesn't make sense at all. What are your thoughts on that?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I've been saying. Sony is not in a position where it warrants them to bring out another system right now when the PS4 is doing so
years from now.
Huh?
People are acting like we say 2019, 2020, right? We're talking about 2 years from now. This generation started in fucking 2013, ladies and gentlemen. So 7 years from now, you don't expect to have a new goddamn generation? Y'all tripping.
Hey, if them numbers keep going,
yeah, what are we doing here?
Keep doing them numbers. Well, I could agree with you on that, Z, because by that time, maybe the numbers start to tell off. And if they tell off, then we get a new system.
Let's take the biggest knife out the drawer. Let's Dr. Spreadsheet. Let Dr. Spreadsheet bring everything
all
into
this little bullshit out.
Look, here's the fact of the matter. Sony jumping out the window and doing this, I don't think it's too far-fetched. Again, these are just rumors, you know what I'm saying? But it's not too far-fetched. We got to remember that Sony's stable leg, Sony, not PlayStation, Sony's stable leg financially is its gaming division. It itself brought the company's profits up 345% last fiscal year when everything was tanking, all right? The fact of the matter is that the Xbox One X, even though it's not going to change things this generation, the thought of Microsoft coming bigger and badder is a threat to them. The fact that they're doing service-based type stuff is a threat to them. That's why they said it in their investor call. It is not too far-fetched to believe that Sony wants to jump ahead of this and get on the 4K 60 for everything kick. You know what I'm saying? Before Microsoft does, and lock it down for another generation. Because pretty much all their eggs are in the gaming basket for that company, period.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, Morris, I'm with you on this, right? At the end of the day, right?
No, I got to put another pen on the side to whether people agree with me or not. Right? I'm just giving a different angle.
All right, check it out, right? Now, Post, you're my brother from another mother, right? DZ wants to. What the hell did
you could? D just said send him the link. You can question my integrity.
No. Check it out, right? I remember like me, and I was talking about these next generation, these mid-gen refreshes back in like January of 2016. Everybody told me I was crazy in the goddamn bag of horse shit. I ain't know what I was talking about. No way in hell, right? Hear me out. And I'm just looking at it from basic business 101. Let me get D. Let me get my man D. He can come in and talk about these rising chips and the price of these goddamn rising chips. You know what I mean? Now, again, this didn't come from my man. This didn't come from my man, my source, right? I'm waiting for him to get back to me. I haven't spoken to him in a while. But I'm just saying, if this was to be true, I don't really have an issue with it. And then, like I said, people got to realize that this generation started in 2013. You know what I mean? So if Sony was to jumpstart a new generation in 2019, I say I always say like 2019, 2020, expect new hardware. It's not really that big of a deal. And again, what does Microsoft have to gain from waiting a whole year or put themselves back in the hole all over again? They have to climb out. You know what I mean? And I do believe that if Sony was to release in 2019 or 2020, Microsoft is going to meet them right there. You know what I mean? And how they're going to cover the gap before software rise, you're going to have cross-gen development from Activision, from Ubisoft, from everybody. So that's going to cover the void and the gap right there. You know what I mean? Of them, even if lacking on the exclusive tip. So all the big multiplats that are coming out in 2020, they're going to be cross-gen. I mean, that's going to cover the software side of things. You know what I mean? We're going to get a brighter, prettier version on this side. You know what I mean? That's how they're going to do it. Trust me. I mean, if this was, like I said, to happen. I mean, and also too, like I said, came out that Microsoft renewed some licensing. What's that, Shadowrun? So that may be making the comeback. You know what I mean? What year, what generation? Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys maybe remember Shadowrun. That was like a 360 game that you got to play with PC guys. We got
trash.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't fair. They wiped the floor with console jokers. You know what I mean? But Microsoft is bringing back that franchise. I just see they just renewed the licensing for that. But 2019, 2020, sure. You know what I mean? I listen, like I said, I don't see no downside to that whatsoever. No downside to that whatsoever. You know what I mean? Probably about then, you gotta realize it's probably about in 2019, the Pro probably be about 250. You know what I mean? And that will probably be the introduction. How it depends on how they do it. You know what I mean? Maybe that might just be the introduction to their ecosystem going forward. You know what I mean? They may phase out the PS4, what do you call it, standard, slim, or anything. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, you went hit D? No, you ain't got it yet. Yeah.
I only say that because if you look at games on the Xbox One compared to the versions launched on the X, there's almost, if not a generational leap there. Okay. And that's only on the enhanced versions of those games. Now, people say Forza 7, as use Forza 7 as in a game, they still had headroom after creating Forza 7. And what people don't understand when it comes to these boxes is they talk about this all the time. As far as when you have a closed system, it forced developers to find new ways to squeeze everything out of that system. And we talk about the PS3 and the 360 era, and we say at the end of those eras where the developers was more acclimated to the system in regards to how to get the best out of them, that's when we start seeing the best products put out in terms of the games we were receiving at that time. The same I would apply to the Xbox One X, and we're not even near that point with the X. Let alone, you know what I'm saying? I look at these mid-gens as just an extension, maybe to extend, not like the next 4 or 5, maybe a couple years, you know what I'm saying, before a new system comes out. I just think with so much that the X can do that we don't know about, I think it'll be to be stupid on Microsoft's part to react to what Sony is doing instead of being proactive, you know.
No, I got to really disagree with everything you're saying there, man.
Well, that's what we do on here. Get him, D. Let's talk about it, D.
I was doing the home show, so I was listening to the show on my way back home, and I heard all this. I was like, nah, man, I got to get in here. So I apologize for the crappy audio. I'm on my phone.
No problem,
okay. Now, Microsoft is not going to let Sony come out and beat them to the punch again. Whenever the PS5 comes out, the successor to the Xbox One X is not going to be that far behind. Now, the Xbox One X, when the next PlayStation comes out and the next Xbox One comes out, it will still be selling because it's got comparable specs, so it won't be such a huge downgrade in comparison to like the PS4 or the Xbox One, the regular one, or even the PS4 Pro. Mm-hmm. So it will still sell to people that won't be able to afford whatever the $600 or $700 price tag these next consoles will have. So it will still sell in that sense. However, if a new PS5 comes out with some wicked graphics, you better believe the Xbox One X is not going to be adequate. First of all, the Xbox One X, yes, it's a good comparable system, but let's not get it twisted. It's still doing games at 30 frames per second. The next PS4 will be doing games at 60 frames per second at 4K. It definitely will be doing that. And so will the successor to the Xbox One X. So it makes no sense for them when the PS5 comes out for them to say, oh, you know what, we got the Xbox One X. It doesn't matter. No, that's what got them in the situation in the first place, being outgunned by Sony. And they're not going to just sit there and let Sony outgun them again. Now, this type of model happens all the time. We got PC graphic cards that come out each year that's substantially stronger than the next. Mm-hmm. It's just options. So people that want the option to have the most powerful console, they'll be able to get the PS5 or the next Xbox One. And if they can't afford that, then they'll have the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying basically the X get a drop in price. We move on from the S. The X become the base system, and then we got the new the Xbox 2, whatever that's going to be.
Exactly.
So the X will come in at an affordable price, still maintaining enough power, and then you'll still have that higher end model. Yeah, I can agree with that. Because I did take it to the fact that as far as what you said, as far as them not letting Sony get the upper hand, I totally missed that point.
And the next Sony console and the next Xbox console, to be honest with you, it's going to be substantially more powerful than the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. It's not going to be an 8 teraflop system. At the minimum, it'll be an 8 teraflop system. But in all honesty, if they want to get 4K 60 frames per second ultra, they're going to need to do it at least 10 teraflops.
10 to 12, yeah. 10 to 12, yeah.
I don't think they need to go as far as 12 because it's inside of a console, so it's going to be pretty much optimized. I think they're going to have to go at least 10. Now, compared to the Xbox One, 6 whatever teraflops that it has, that's a substantial leap.
Yeah.
So what's your predictions on the CPU?
Well, well, my predictions seem to be a generation too early. It's definitely going to be. It's
So we can go with the Ryzen chip now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be running the Ryzen now. At the very least, it'll be running the current Ryzen APUs. So it'll be running like a Ryzen. I don't know, 1700, 1600, something like that. If we're lucky, we'll get the second generation of Ryzen.
I'm not again, disclaimer, I'm not a technical guru. All right. But wouldn't it, the fact that Sony would have to buy their parts, everything that they do would have to be like third party, opposed to Microsoft having the Surface team and them being able to ad hoc some of their parts. You know what I'm saying? Would that, do you think, D, that'll play a role into the next generation as far as pricing and power?
It's hard to say because Microsoft kind of did a little bit of a Frankenstein on the original Xbox One, and look where it got them.
Yeah.
It didn't get them to the fullest. So I don't know if they're gonna really cheap out the next generation. And in all honesty, I don't think they have to because these Ryzen APUs are going to be very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they have to cheap out. Like I think at the very least, I think we'll get the Ryzen Plus, which is releasing now. So like the Ryzen that's going to be released, I think it comes out in April or something. It's going to be Ryzen Plus. So it's shrunken down. I think it's to 12 nanometers or something like that. And it's a little bit more efficient. They can get the clock speeds higher. When Ryzen 2 comes out, those are going to be substantially better. Those are going to get up to like 5 gigahertz. But when those come out, that's going to be very close to the window of these next generation consoles. And you know that these guys like to plan ahead. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that it's going to have the Ryzen 2 in it. But at the very least, I think it will have at least a Ryzen or a Ryzen Plus. And in all honesty, that's good enough for the consoles. That's good enough. Those chips are able to achieve 60 frames per second at 4K. It's not going to be a problem. We're having this problem with these Jaguar CPUs because they wanted to be cost efficient, and of course at that time those Ryzen APUs weren't available, and and if they were available, they would have cost a lot if they were to cram it in at the deadline, because when the Xbox One X was coming out, that was pretty much the time when the Ryzen APUs were kind of getting finished up. So if they had to try to rush that in there, it would have cost a lot more. Now, when the next consoles are coming out, Ryzen's going to be like 2 to 3 years old, and at that point, it'll be cheaper, like how the Jaguars were cheaper, but with much better performance. So I think there's no doubt. I think it's quite obvious at this point that the next gen consoles are going to have Ryzen inside of them. Like that's just a no-brainer.
Quick question for you. The Xbox One X is 16 nanometers, right? And you said the next Ryzen, you think the next Ryzen chip would be 12 in the next gen systems. What about 7? If you look at AMD's roadmap, by that time we'll be down to 7.
Yeah, but like I said, like these guys, they like to do their things in advance. And when the 7, I think the 7 nanometer is pretty much next year. So what are we? We're in 2018. So the 7 nanometers, they come out in 2019. These new consoles, like if the PlayStation comes out next year, I don't think it's going to have a 7 nanometer. If the Xbox One X comes out in 2020, it is possible for it to have the 7 nanometer. But that extra performance to price, is it going to be worth it to Microsoft at that point? Because inside a console, we're not going to be clocking these up to 5 gigahertz. You know what I'm saying? So is it really going to be necessary? At 3.8, 3.9, that's fine to achieve 60 frames per second at 4K. Even at 3.7, it's fine.
Now, I think they're going to be aiming for 120. If they're trying to compete with PC, I think they're going to be aiming for 120 in some games.
I don't think so. Right now, to get 4K, first of all, you got a GTX 1080 Ti, right? Which is pretty much the best card that you can get currently on the market, because those other processors, they're not using it for graphics. They're using it for like machine learning and whatnot, right? So we don't really know when those cards are going to come out. So let's just base it on what's out right now. A GTX 1080 Ti is not getting 4K 120 frames per second. It's just not. It's doing 4K 60 frames per second on most of the games. Some games I'm sure it can get up to like 70, 80 frames per second, but it's not doing 4K 120 frames per second unless maybe you're doing it at like medium settings or something like that. So I don't think the next generation.
Hey, Moss, that's my other account, Moss.
Oh, was it?
I don't think the next generation consoles are going to be doing 120 frames per second, and the VRR support that's out for the Xbox One X, that's coming out this week, that's getting pushed through the Insider program. It's supporting at 60 hertz. Now the TVs that are coming out this year, they're to my knowledge, like things could change a little bit, but to my knowledge at this point, they're doing VRR at 60 hertz, at 60 frames per second for 4K. So, these TVs aren't supporting 120 hertz at 4K. Now, next year, the TVs that come out, they will have that support because they're going to be full HDMI 2.1. And we might even get some of those TVs towards the end of, at the end of this year, maybe towards the fall, we might get 1 or 2 sets that do support that. But, the hardware is not really out there that supports 4K and 120 hertz. So if PC is not really there yet, I can't really see the next console release being 120 hertz. Maybe some games, the odd little game, it might support that, but I think we're really going to be looking at 4K 60 hertz. And honestly, to tell you, 4K 60 hertz is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of TVs, we got more from the documents here that says Sony plans to release their affordable 4K ultra-wide TVs before Christmas in 2018. The bullets say, just when they tried to sell PS2 consoles for its DVD playback function, or when they tried to sell PS3 consoles for its Blu-ray playback function, they'll try to do something similar this time too. Sony will try to sell their ultra-wide televisions, and the PS5 consoles with UWD support will be a big help in this. The TVs will be affordable and will have low input lag and a real 120 hertz display. That's all that there is known right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's quite possible. To be honest with you, I haven't heard anything on the TV front. I haven't heard anything leaked on this information. So it's the first time I'm hearing that. I do know that, like NVIDIA, they do have some of these sets coming out later on this year that do support that feature. So it's not a stretch to think that Sony would want it.
Going for?
I can't even remember. I don't remember the prices on it. But I do know that the Samsung TVs this year will be supporting that. I have some numbers. Like, I'm not going to go through all the numbers here because I have a video coming up on that. I'm going to go into detail about that. But the entire QLED line is going to support VRR. It's going to support FreeSync and VRR later on. And even, like how we had the MU series from last year. The NU, I believe it's the 9000 series. So the NU 9000 series, which is the lower end before the QLEDs, just the NU 9000 at this point has been confirmed is going to also have VRR support.
Yeah,
so Samsung's going to be.
Microsoft got a TV from Samsung to test it out.
Yeah. So this is being pushed out in the Insider update right now. So I guess if you have a FreeSync monitor, you'll be able to put this to test next week. I believe it's slowly rolling out.
It did low latency too.
Yes. Oh, and that's another thing. I'll go into more depths on it. But one of the game modes in Samsung's TV, there's a few different modes. Like I said, I'll get into it in my video. But one of the modes, it's between. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but it's between 6 and 8 milliseconds in one of their game modes, which is extremely low for a television.
Hey.
Yeah, that is super low.
They're gonna have various game modes for the Samsung TVs. They're gonna have like a FreeSync mode, VRR mode, and like a regular like game mode. And one of those modes is 6 to 8 milliseconds is the response time, which is really.
I gotta buy another goddamn TV.
You know what? I gotta be honest with you.
You're gonna do that anyway.
Samsung last year got their asses stomped. The previous year, the KS 8000s, 9000s, 7000s. In my opinion, they were better TVs than the QLEDs of 2017. Those TVs, they just didn't have as good uniformity. Yes, they got a little bit brighter, but getting a little bit brighter, not having a full array in there, it just wasn't optimal. It wasn't
TCL put in work.
Yeah, and then OLED OLED just came out and it just stomped the hell out of the Samsung.
Yeah.
Now, to Samsung's credit, they did not take this lying down. They went back and did some work, and all the reports thus far on they're more concentrating on the Q9. Now, the Q8 is going to be a full array. It's not going to have as many zones, so a lot of people aren't really concentrating on that model so much right now. So, like, closer to the time we'll get our hands on, we'll be able to see how well this TV stacks up. But the Q9, everybody is being wild on it. They've improved the viewing angle so that when you go off axis, you're not losing so much, of the color of the brightness like you used to before. Because before you used to have to really just sit dead on to get the complete picture of it. Yeah, it was a little bit better last year off angle, but it was still fading off. Now they've corrected that. The most important thing that they've corrected is the black levels. The black levels are comparable to OLED. All these guys are saying the same thing. They're saying there's no haloing. There's no brightness fluctuations. In a star field, you're seeing all the stars. Samsung is doing these demonstrations where they're putting it beside the OLED, and it's having the same black levels as the OLED. You're getting extremely high contrast, and you're getting a much improved color. And of course, it gets brighter. Now, the number one thing with the OLEDs is the Dolby Vision content, right? The Dolby Vision, you were getting a better HDR reproduction. Now, Samsung this year, they're adding the HDR10 Plus. And this is giving you a Dolby Vision-like picture. And to be honest with you, Dolby Vision is really for TVs that can't hit 1,000 nits. Once you're hitting 1,000 nits, you're going to resolve most of the detail. And because they have increased color volume and they're hitting 2,000 nits this year, plus they have the HDR 10 Plus, that's, it's going to try to resolve details up to 4,000 nits. You're going to get a much better HDR picture. And in all honesty, everything that I see on paper, and everything that the people have had their hands on with this pre-release set, it's saying that it's really going to compete with OLED. Because the only thing that people can really truly complain about OLED is the brightness. It doesn't get as bright as LCD, but you got the deep blacks. Now, if LCD can achieve these deep blacks and give you the brightness, and it's going to have VRR support and FreeSync 2 and low milliseconds, I think Samsung has a winner on their hands. I'm really excited for this year's Samsung. If it's as good as it is, as advertised, I'm going to throw the OLED in the bedroom and put the Samsung in the living room, because Samsung has the best colors, bar none. They definitely have the best colors, but the black levels and the contrast suffered, and the overall picture quality, OLED's been killing it.
No doubt.
Okay, well,
just do one more document though.
Yeah, it was last document. This past CES, they were saying that Samsung was showing some technology in the back, not to the public, and they was using LEDs, and they were saying it was rivaling the OLED. So
that's different. That is the micro LED sets. Okay. Now, the micro LED sets, those are going to beat OLED for sure, because those are self-emissive, just like OLED. So each pixel can produce its own light, but it gets brighter than OLED. So you're not going to have any of the pitfalls, no chances of getting burned in. It's not going to be dull. You're not going to have any of the pitfalls of OLED. So the micro LED is definitely going to beat the OLED, but it's going to be a lot more expensive. Yeah. So it's not going to be, those with light pockets,
Yep.
Okay. All right, the last document, software information. Big up to my man, the finals. He's like, damn, where's the last document? Here we go. Releasing a demo/trial to a game will be mandatory. Right? Yes, you read that right. Demos are coming back. In fact, the launch of the PS5, developers can only release their game if they release a demo or a time-locked trial 1 week before. This way, consumers can try out the products before they decide to buy them.
Oh, shit.
Before I go to the next bullet, did the PS4 ain't got demos now, or what?
But you know how on the 360 we get every Xbox Live Arcade game, we got a demo first.
Yeah.
I think this will be dope.
Got you. All right, next bullet. If a developer won't release a demo in time, retail copies, Blu-ray of that game won't be playable until 1 week has passed since the demo's release.
What?
Basically, the PS5 will receive many updates very frequently in the background that are used to unlock games. Let me get to the last bullet before I get everybody's reaction. And lastly, what is important to mention is that the demo/trial should be representative of the final product, should contain a sequence from that game. So things like Platinum Demo for Final Fantasy 15 won't be eligible for this purpose. Thoughts?
What? I've never seen no shit like this.
Somebody eating some munchos in the background.
I don't know about that, man. So you're gonna penalize the consumer because the devs.
I'm just saying. I won't say it's penalizing the consumer, but so if the developers want their game to hit the retail, they're saying they need a demo. I don't know about that, but saying they need a demo first. I don't know. Maybe that sounds like a little bit of wishful thinking, but I do think it's dope to try out any retail game before it comes out.
That part.
I think that's something Microsoft got away from. That they started in the 360 era that was booming.
Absolutely.
You know, people got a chance to try before you buy.
Yep. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the one thing that was like the icing on the cake for me to making the 360 my premier console is the whole demo thing. You know what I'm saying? Being able to try all your games before you fully invested in them, getting the biggest bang out of your buck. That was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah. It sounds like wishful thinking, like Z said, but I would. Hey, if they implemented this 90% of what they're talking about here in this document, I wouldn't be mad at them.
I gotta say this though, with this document leaking, and it's more than one source stating that some developers have been receiving their PS5 dev kits.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say. It being out already, we're looking possibly at a 2019 release for the PS5.
That's what the
document stated.
That's what the document saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I came in late in the show, so I didn't hear that part.
But you've always felt that way, D, right? You always felt that.
Yeah. I always did think that. People were saying, no, it's going to be 2021, and I said, no, it's going to be 2019, I think. And I always thought that the Xbox, the next successor, would be 2020. Now, I think they're going to be launched pretty close together. Now, if Xbox is going to launch a year later, like what could they add? The only thing that they could add is maybe a year later they would have some technology to maybe improve the frame rates to make it go past 60. But it's going to cost a lot more, and I don't know. In all honesty, if they can be, even at the same power as the PS5, I think that'd be fine. I don't think they need to necessarily beat them, but they definitely can't be less powerful than the PS5.
Hey, CD, this one I must disagree with you on that one, Marcus. With the Xbox One X or Xbox 2, I'm sorry, it's going to release a year later. It has to be more powerful. And on top of that, they're gonna have to have their ducks in a line in order as far as their software.
No. I agree with it releasing a year later. I'm just saying if they release the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to be more powerful.
I think what D's trying to say though, it's the diminishing returns. Even if they made it more powerful, you wouldn't be able to really tell, because the TVs
you can't let. I'm being honest. This is my opinion. There's a lot of smarter people over there than me, but in my opinion, I don't think you can let Sony get the jump on you again, man. They got the jump on you, and they didn't stop kicking you. Every time you tried to get up, they were just kicking. When people have fights, say, let them get up. Nah, man, they were just doing the mountain, just pounding them out. As soon as you would get a little bit of air, they start to choke you out again. And Microsoft can't allow that to happen again this generation. They really can't.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm with you, Flake. I'm just saying, you like in competition. I've always said this: in competition of business, right? Listen, I know I'm an Xbox guy. I'm not going to put on a tinfoil hat here, but we can see that things haven't been fair as far as the media. So going forward, they had to offer everything that Sony's offering and then more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then some. Oh, I got you here before we get the hell up out of here. AD, did you see the Insider Xbox show yesterday?
Yeah, I saw parts of it, and the only part that interested me was the part when they started talking about the VRR support rolling out to the insiders. But I don't know why everyone is up in arms. Like what the?
Man, that was a dog shit show.
It was just going to be another show. Like, what were people expecting? Really? And even if Sony came on the show, what would you expect them to do? Like, you're just going to talk about, the small thing.
Here's the thing. You have Sony coming out there giving you the PSX, right? something. They had a dog shit Gamescom, they had a dog shit Comic Con. You know what I mean? So this show, I don't know. Even if they would have released the State of Decay information during this show there, that shit was so bad. They were fucking interviewed the guy that played the goddamn intros for goddamn Sea of Thieves. I don't know. This shit didn't give me diabetes. This show was sweet. It was moist.
Well, I'll say this, Mike.
Fluff.
I tried, y'all. I tried.
Microsoft seem to be aware of this because I don't see some.
Are they?
I saw some poll on Twitter saying, what would you like us to do differently? I saw something like that on Twitter. So I think they're a little bit self-aware of this, and what? Send
they saw all that feedback. They saw that feedback because the chat let them know. They was booing, they was putting up Z's, and believe me, they have people watching these things and monitoring social activity.
Here's the thing. My thing is, how do you not know going forward? That was in their mind. We gonna kill him with this shit right here. Like, is that what they were thinking?
Okay, before we start, I just want to transition everybody to this eulogy of the Xbox. I just want everybody to come together. We're moving into the RIP Xbox room. I want everybody to follow us in, and if you have anything to say about the Xbox, you can say it now.
He's stupid.
Hey man, hit the like button. Are you not entertained?
Before you give your spill, Posto, can I say this? That showing yesterday, that showing, my brothers and sisters, showed you why we need next gen 720 out there. Put their foot to the goddamn
talk about it, player.
Oh my God!
Wow,
I done read every book. I never seen no bullshit like that. That was horrible. Oh my God! No, but that was a pure sign of why they need us to kick their backs in every now and again and keep them on track. 2 coffee shop. Your demographic. Look, man. When I got my chicken and beer, man, I want to take Phil with me so bad, just have him chill on the ab. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, everybody that buys your system is not from Redmond, man. But they all don't be buying triple mocha lattes. You know what I'm saying? And talk about how they gonna give protein sandwiches to the poor. You know what I'm saying? Like. Y'all got to show a little bit more a little bit more grit, and you know what I'm saying? It's okay to do that. You can still keep it PG-13. I don't get these dudes, man. I really don't.
I not to get off track here. I just wanted to make one point on the PS5. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony showed something related to the PS5 at this E3, to be honest with you, because the PS4 Pro, let's be honest, it's not really, putting the sales records on. It's the PS4 that's really selling. The PS4 Pro, it sells, but I think for like every 8 PlayStations they sell maybe like 2 PS4 Pros. So it's not really lighting the world on fire. The Xbox One X, on the other hand, it is selling quite well. And this, from a marketing way, this could be a way, to try to deter people from buying the Xbox One X, saying, hey, next year we got a system coming out, But I wouldn't be surprised if Sony actually gave us some information or showed us a little tidbit, or even maybe showed us 1 or 2 upcoming games coming for the PS5.
Hey,
now, I just want to thank you all for gathering here today on this sad occasion.
I'm about to piss in the casket. They had no man Major Nelson out there like Vanna White.
The Xbox system has felt us. We have not seen the promised land. We looked over that mountaintop and sing Zoo Tycoon.
That was some real live Nintendo Direct shit. I don't know what the fuck that was, bro. Like, man, that was bad. Listen, man. I got to say, man, I do like to apologize for all the people I let astray. That boy over here this side, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now, man.
You know what though? I gotta say on the Nintendo Direct though, like, I'm not really interested in those titles. I'm not interested in Super Smash Brothers and all that shit, to be honest with you. I'm not really, it's just not my thing, right? But for their fan base, they were happy with it. They were happy with it, and like Super Smash Bros., they were like, "What?" They were losing their shit for it. And you know what? To be honest with you, they did announce quite a few exclusive games for their platform, whether we like it or not. They're releasing exclusive shit. So we can dog their Direct for having kiddie shit and weird games and like DLC to Splatoon. I think it's like a game add-on. It's not like multiplayer. I think it's like a single player add-on. We can make fun of it all we want, but the base is loving it, and it's going to sell more Switches for them. And Microsoft really needs to respond. But I don't want to sit here and cry every week on what Microsoft should be doing and what they're not doing. I wholeheartedly believe that they got the memo, and I truly think, and I know we said it over and over again, wait till E3. I really think that this E3, they're going to start to get their shit together and start to show us what we need to see, what the base needs to see, what the casuals need to see, what the media needs to see. I think we're going to start to see that push this E3. Because if they don't, it's going to be really bad for the platform, to be honest with you.
I'm going to say this one thing, we get the hell up out of here, right? That show right there. And listen, if you're in denial, right? Even Crap Gamer made a video and protested that goddamn show. For the Kid Makers of the world, maybe their show was everything but sliced bread, right? Not appeal to any PlayStation guys at all. If you're trying to get some consumers to buy your product, outside of your, you know, if you think this is your demographic now, their show was goddamn horrible. You know what I mean? Really was. I mean, I'm just saying, and for them to be, they were hyping it. Well, not saying they were. Fans were hyping it as being Microsoft version of the Nintendo Direct. Now you just released some information about State of Decay 2. You could have released that during that Inside Xbox. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Honestly, if you were going to do it like that, you know what I mean? Or give a what's to come and show the gameplay at E3. Something.
They should have. Sorry.
Go.
They should have showed us something Crackdown. I think if they showed us something concrete in Crackdown, it could have saved that show. Yeah.
Something. That's all that I'm saying, man. You know, at the end of the goddamn day, my man Major Nelson like Van goddamn white on the Wheel of Fortune with them white gloves on and shit. Like this should hit close. That's what you call spooky. But that's spooky right there, man. But like I said,
I'll say this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Sorry, there's a little delay on my end. I apologize. No. But I'll say this: if you're upset, like a lot of fans are, about the show that Microsoft did, simply respond to them on Twitter. Let them know. Send some tweets out to Phil. Let them know, and don't just bash them. Say, "Oh, it sucked." Let them know what you'd like to see differently. You know, if you don't voice your opinion, you know how can we expect it to get better? You know,
Absolutely.
That's what I would do.
Absolutely. That's all we doing is voicing our opinion. I can agree with that. We can close out with that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, man, head over 20 people. You guys would be so kind. Like I said, you know, if you enjoyed the tech talk, the information, if you enjoyed the rising chip, all that good shit, hit the like button.
Rising uppercut.
Yeah, you guys during the week and everything else that we do. Yeah. Next year we out here working, man. We out here working. I'm gonna give you guys a little treat. Wait, hold on. I got this for the Patreon. Hold on, let me unlock it. I'm gonna put it right there. You guys can check it out. I'll give you a link. I made it private, but we're gonna be working for the Patreon. Hold on. My man GB Bot had lost his mind, lost his damn mind. I'm gonna make it unprivate, but if we're gonna do it, it's gonna be another one. It's gonna be for the Patreon. Just for a little while, just for you guys in the show today. You know what I mean? Check this. You guys the link right now. Leave. There we go. I give you about 10 minutes to watch it, then I'm gonna make it back private. There you go. Sticking around. Watch it now because I'm gonna make it private after 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna watch again, watch it now. You go to the goddamn link. All right, there you go. Yeah, but anyway, like I said again, thank you for rocking out with us. Enjoy the show. Like I said, watch the link now. You got about 10 minutes. I'm gonna make it back private. We're gonna be working for the Patreon. Something for the Patreon. We out of here. Bang. Ooh.